Good day to all our friends around the world, and welcome to those that are here for the first time. Join us for another fascinating story being told by the Crime Unfiltered team. Dr. Patience Martha Ntshani, also known as Dr. Pashy, is a celebrity doctor who has recently been in the news for her alleged involvement with convicted criminal and murderer THABO Bester and her former celebrity doctor colleague Dr. Nandipha Magudumana. Dr. Pashy claims that she was swindled out of millions by Bester and Magudumana after being lured into working with them by the prospect of working with US media mogul Oprah Winfrey. She has since opened a case of fraud against Bester and Magudumana. Dr. Pashy is still in consultation with her lawyers regarding the criminal charge and is also pursuing a civil case to try to recover the funds.
Dr. Pashy, when did you come to meet or know of Dr. Nandipha Magudumana?
I met her on social media around 2015. And we had similar interest. Of course, we're both medical doctors, we're family women, we love fashion, travel, and our devotion to God, it was literally her biblical verses on Instagram that she would post, and that would literally draw me to her or draw ourselves to each other. And yeah, we just clicked and we started DMing, and it went into WhatsApp.
Let's just go back. So you met her on Instagram around about 2015. Did you immediately exchange numbers or contact details? And then would you then say your relationship turned into a friendship?
Well, we were DMing, you know how the app works, and at a later stage, of course, we exchanged numbers. However, I'm busy. I don't really have the most balanced schedule. I'm forever entangled in, competing priorities between my medical practice, my community projects, and my family. So I never really had time to meet up in person. Instead, we would, opt for synchronizing our red carpet appearances. So we'll meet up at events, but never at a closed space, as in at our sacred spaces or our homes, no.
So after you two were DMing each other, she had contacted you on direct message on Instagram, is that correct?
Yes.
And then you would meet up or at social gatherings of common interest, if I could put it like that,
yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So let's fast forward then to, according to what we understand you told police, is that she then expressed to you an interest to work with you via a media company that she told you that she owns.
Yes.
Talk us through when that was and how this business proposition came about.
Well, through our WhatsApp conversations and calls, we grew close, and I've learned that she's a woman of God, a pastor's daughter. So we became close, and in 2020, this is February of 2020, she told me that she owns this media company, and then it's got the international leg as well, where the chairperson is TK Ngwana, and then she exchanged. I gave her permission to give TK my number, and he called me, introduced himself as the CEO of Vibes, California, New York, and London, and we spoke about my brand, which is centered around women empowerment, which is centered around philanthropy, and how they can actually expand it and how they can actually help me fund the work that I've already been doing with the foundation. They then promised that they can bring the likes of Oprah Winfrey to be at like your conferences, your woman empowerment conferences. I agreed to that, looking at the fact that Oprah Winfrey is the woman who inspires me the most, and we've been living off her motivational quotes, whether it's in life or it's in medical school. So besides, she has planted a seed of philanthropy in the children of Africa and in South Africa as well. So I felt like it's our responsibility as the younger generation of women to carry on that legacy and to pave it forward. So yes, they brought the proposal, we signed contracts, and we started working from there.
So you are saying that Dr. Nandipha Makutumana had forwarded your number to TK Ngwana.
Yes.
And we now know that it is one of the aliases used by THABO Bester. And then, after there had been this communication between yourself and this TK Ngwana, who did he say he was?
He said he was TK Ngwana, a South African businessman who's now based in the US, and he said he had good relationships with the likes of Oprah Winfrey, as he was also a part of the team that was organizing her coming to South Africa for the Global Citizen. And that was TK Ngwana, and even the contracts, everything is like US and London, so that's.
So the promise of helping you establish business in the United States of America, that is what they used to lure you, you say?
Yes. I had this idea of having a brand that grows outside the Dr. Pashy name. So the Power Woman brand was birthed in response to the need for positive female-centric spaces and the need to empower women both academically, economically and mentally. And I wanted to ignite fire in every woman to step up and, live in their full potential.
In this communication with TK Ngwana, is this communication that was happening consistently? Was he constantly giving you feedback about this so-called assistance that he was going to provide? And at the time, were you also in conversations with Dr. Nandipha Makutumana on how this grand plan was going to be executed to give your brand international status in the United States?
Yeah, well, I was in contact with both of them, especially when, things will be delayed, and then I would go to her, we'll pray about it. I would call her and we'll pray about it. And I was in constantly contacted by TK to give me the feedback, because I wanted to know, every move, where we are in terms of the conference. We have paid the speakers, we have paid the venue, which was it was supposed to be in Senton, but because of the delay in the vaccine rollout in South Africa, then we took it to the Staples Center in California, and then we paid for the stage, for the disaster management system, and for the ticket sales system. So
this happened over a while.
This happened over a while. Remember, we were locked up during COVID. Yeah. That's when I was a frontliner, and in my. I was a frontliner, I was busy in the front line, and I knew that I've put somebody that I can trust on the program, which is Nandipha. This is a medical doctor. Being a medical doctor, it automatically comes with principles. You are in a principled career, in a career of value and ethics. So I didn't think that in any way there was a way that she would sabotage me, because she had a lot to lose. There's a career, and she had her own things, and she was going to lose all of that for sabotaging me. So I trusted that she was going to do as we agreed. So yes, I was in constant contact with TK Ngwana. And
then came the request for money.
Yes, all the things that I said, they were requesting funds. Remember, when you do events, you find that the sponsors, they want you to cover the bases before they can come with the sponsorship. They want contracts. For you to get a contract with a speaker or with service providers, you need to have paid them something so that you have an agreement, and then when sponsorship comes, then you can pay the rest. So the money
also sent you contracts. Tikengwana sent you contracts.
Yes, there were contracts.
Which, by the way, the SABC has seen. Those contracts clearly were dubious. They were bogus contracts that were sent to you under the guise that this conference was going to happen, clearly.
Yes. Yes, there were signed contracts by Own Network, signed
Oprah Winfrey's network.
Oprah Winfrey's network, signed contracts by the Oprah Winfrey management. Gail King was going to be one of the speakers as well. There were contracts for her, contracts for, it was a lot.
You'd also been promised that this whole women's conference, that allegedly you would get the opportunity to work with Oprah Winfrey. And I mean, part of the studio that you've set up, in which we're sitting in here, is part of what you built because of this grand promise that was made by Dr. Nandipha as well as Tikengwana. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, well, in retrospect now, because things are now in the open, now you know what TK was doing, what THABO Besta was doing. So in retrospect now, around the time of the escape, that's when now money was needed to complete the security system of the ticket sales system. So on around the 3rd and 4th, TK was in a meeting with Oprah Winfrey, with Oprah's lawyer, Salma, Garen Salma, and the other one, Tamara, Tamara, and the other sponsors, because they wanted us to complete the system, and they wanted us to build a studio where we can host the Power Woman Africa. Power Woman Africa is a talk show where I would have conversations with some of the most powerful women in the continent.
So this conversation that you had with Tikengwana was on the 3rd and 4th of May.
Around I remember in retrospect now, when things happen, you go back, you check. On the 2nd of May.
The 2nd of May was the day before the escape.
The day, on the 2nd of May, I just remember just sending him a message that it's a holiday in South Africa, because I think it was the holiday on the 1st that moved to the 2nd. And then the 3rd of May, we couldn't really talk much because he was going to be in a meeting, in this big meeting, which was tough because of the demands and because of, the toughness of the meeting, because we're supposed to finish with the ticket sales system by the 5th of April. So these delays were disrupting everything.
So a day before, what we know was the day that Thabo Bester escaped from the Mangaung prison, is the day that you were in conversation with him, not knowing anything.
Not knowing anything. It's only now in retrospect you go back to the messages to see where Power Woman was at the time.
And then when did the alarm bells start to ring? When did you realize that something was drastically wrong here?
Well, to be honest, things were moving. Things were moving, though it was moving in a background of forgery of things. But then on the 16th, that article that came out, and that's when that was a shock, like a shock of my life. So at that time with the conference, we were about to launch, and he was in the US, and he was supposed to come to South Africa now to help with the logistics, moving to launching of the Power Woman conference. And then remember, he also had my passports at the time. This is when now I'll get all of those things, traveling documents and everything back from them.
Dr. Pashy, at what point then did you hand over your passports to Dr. Nandipha Mokudumana? Because obviously the person you were in conversation with on the telephone was believed to have been in prison, but you didn't know this.
So my passport left me on the 19th of January. Because
2023.
2023, because they were organizing my working visa in the US. Remember, not only was I going there to do an Power Woman, but I wanted to visit hospitals to be working there as an anesthesiologist. So my qualifications were required, my passports, a lot of things were required that I handed on. Because I was busy on that day, I couldn't meet up with Nandipha, so she sent the driver to fetch the passports on the 19th of January.
And you handed the passports over to
the driver, yes.
And the one passport, why two passports?
It's two passports because the other one, even if it was expired, it had a valid US visa. Remember, here we were applying for a working visa. That was just a traveling visa. So for me to get that, I had to, this is what they told me, that to give them the one with the working visa, the one with the active traveling visa, and my active passport, which was the one that she was caught with. And anyway, to expand on the passport one, that passport I did after finding out what was happening. Of course, I went to do an affidavit, and I did another passport. So when I did another passport, I cancelled that passport. So when she was caught with that passport was like a piece of paper, because it was, if anyone could have just bothered to scan that passport, they would see that is not working. It was like having, being rich in Monopoly. It was not working. The important one at that time actually was the one that they said it was not important because it had an active US visa.
And then for all of this, I understand that you paid millions of rand. Can you confirm indeed that this is true?
Well, it's true, but I can't at this point disclose how much was paid when, because this matter is still under investigation.
Would you say more than 5 million?
Griselda, it's still under investigation, and to actually, the police, I'm sure they're actually checking the movement of that money, and I'm still in consultation with the lawyers in terms of the criminal charge. I laid a criminal case, and we are busy with the civil cases to try to recover the funds.
But you can confirm that it's millions?
I can confirm that, yes, it's millions.
And who did you pay that money to? Because obviously it needed to be paid into a certain account.
I paid it into the Vibes South Africa account, which is an account owned by Dr. Nandipha.
This would include, I understand, these millions for a so-called private jet that was due to bring Oprah Winfrey.
Yes, it included that. And that was the Oprah jet was just before COVID, just before the lockdown.
And you paid these monies. Why? Why did you feel the need to pay this money, even though you say you trusted Dr. Nandipha Mokudumana? But obviously the request had been coming from TK Ngwana. You had not met him face to face. But in hindsight, Why did you pay those monies into that account?
I paid that money into that account because it was an account that belongs to someone I trust, someone I hired to take care of the business. And this is somebody who has her own money. So you don't even think that, you know, and remember, even if I was in conversation with TK in terms of the business, this is still Nandipha's business, and we communicate with Nandipha. There are contracts that were brought forward. There are a lot of emails, communications that were brought forward in terms of, okay, this is how much is required. Then you pay this, you get an invoice to see the confirmations that this has been paid for this particular amount. So it was a transaction that was going smooth in terms of you're seeing the results. And then it was only now when they had to deliver that they got exposed.
Then you saw this article involving the names of Dr. Nandipha Makudumana and THABO Bester. That was the first instance, you say, when you realized that something had gone terribly wrong here.
Yeah, it was. Have you ever felt like you woken up to another realm of existence? And it was scary knowing that you have been dealing with people who are so dangerous, like with that danger of that magnitude. It was scary for me, and my life just changed. Everything changed. I was living in fear because you don't know where these people are. They are at large at that point, so you don't know what could have happened to you in this journey. You don't know the end, their end plan of this journey. So it was scary for me. I lived in fear.
After you had found out about Dr. Nandipha Makudumana's alleged involvement in all of this, did you try to contact her as well as TK Ngwana, who we understand, of course, is the alias, one of the aliases used by THABO Bester? Did you contact them?
Well, I did contact Nandipha. Her phone was off, but then before it went off, she spoke about how this is all wrong. It's, as if they are trying to accuse her. And I did forward the article to TK that this is what they are saying about Nandipha. And it's only later when his brothers, when Nandipha's brother's message was circulating that I then saw that this is TK. This is,
it's THABO Bester.
That.
And how did you feel at that time?
Scared. Numb.
Do you feel betrayed?
Of course. And betrayed is an understatement. It's life. What can I say? So it's been a roller coaster since then, because now you are scared because you have these people who are at large, and they could probably silence you just to
After you had contacted them, sorry to interject, Dr. Pashy. After you had contacted them, did they threaten you?
Well, they accused me of working with the police. They accused me of feeding the police with information. And I got scared. And there was a point, of course, when it was really bad when they were contacting me. And
who is they? Dr. Nandipha and TK Nkwana.
Now known as THABO Bester.
And after they'd been rearrested and you heard that Dr. Nandipha was found in possession of your 2 passports, that must have come as a terrible shock to you.
It did, because I thought maybe she had left them in the house or something. So for her, when they said they were arrested, I felt a sense of relief. And a few hours later, news broke that she indeed has my passports. Yeah, that was horrible. That's where now my nightmare came in, because her having my passport was being interrupted as if me abating them to escape. And it was even worse when the minister misinterpreted the whole thing with the false information that he was given. You know, a man of his caliber with the leadership position, he's got the power to change perception. He's got the power to clarify the narratives. But on that day, that power was used because of the false information that he had. You know, he took that information and maliciously cast aspersions of criminalities in my name. He literally fed me to the mob of, digital stone throwers, digital mob justice. And as if I actually gave them the passports so that they can escape. And that as well came with a lot of noise, a lot of pain, not only for me. My mother's health was affected. My son was being bullied around. And me as well, having to deal with journalists, going to wherever hospitals that they might think I'm there at the time. It was really horrible. It came, and I couldn't work at the time because I had to take care of the legal issues. And you are seated there with your lawyer consulting, and then...
Yeah, you had actually also written a cease desist a letter to the minister. Subsequently, he apologized for saying that you had to post an affidavit. But you felt that the damage had already been done.
Well, I actually appreciate that he did apologize. That for me, it's a reflection of good leadership, trying to acknowledging that you are wrong and actually apologizing on the very same platform. However, there's a lot of damage that was done, and there's still a lot that needs to be fixed. I mean, my son is going through therapy because he was told that your mother is involved in crimes because the minister had said so. So for me to wanting to take legal actions I was not only doing it for me. I was doing it for my son, for the truth to come out. I was doing it for any other woman who has been misrepresented, who don't have a voice. I was like, you know what, I'm going to reserve my rights to actually use any recourse available in law. Then he apologized, and then I just let it go.
Is it now, have you buried the hatches?
With him, yes, I did.
There were times when he video called you. Where was he?
Well,
what did it look like? And when was this?
This was over time, 2020, 2021, 22 as well. He would be in various locations, sometimes in an office, sometimes in a yacht in the middle of the ocean, sometimes just in the streets, just walking around. So he would video call from like different locations. But
this is someone who was supposed to be in prison, but the background...
That is what beats me up to today. Like, yeah. So,
how has all of this affected you?
emotionally, I'm not okay. I'm in therapy right now. Obviously, the journey with Power Woman, this was a journey during COVID actually, and then when COVID now is over, then you preparing to launch and all. So it came with so many obstacles, so many. It was a lot of things that were happening that were really draining, not only financially, but
Reputational damage.
yes, mentally as well. It's something that I actually gave my soul to. I've worked heavily on these projects, on everything. You know me, I'm that kind of a person who puts everything in all I do. I took classes for presenting, for for producing, for just being like pre-production, production, speaking. I took classes for all of that in preparation for the Power Woman talk shows and seminars and everything. And I can't really say that I am walking away empty-handed. There's a lot of pain, yes, but there's a lot of positivity that came with the painful journey. I mean, I'm a mentor, I'm a motivational speaker. When I stand in front of the people and narrate my journey, there is so many lessons that a lot of people can take from my journey.
And on that version, Dr. Pashy, that was almost sabotaged by what has transpired. Someone who you say tried to lure you as a friend, took your passports, and was found in possession of them in a country where it's still not known at this stage how she arrived in that country. What would you want to say to Dr. Nandipha Makutumana and TK Nkwana / THABO Bester? What would you want to say?
I want to tell them that this is not the death of Dr. Pashy Foundation and the good work that it has done. This is not the miscarriage of the Power Woman organization and the plans that I had originally had to do with the organization. But it is the rebirth of Dr. Pashy. The next chapter of my life, I call it the Dr. Pashy Reloaded. And I want to say to them that, like, why? Like, why? How could they do that? How can they lie to me? How can they do that to bodies? How do you, like what happened with Katlaho Bereng, I cry. I think of that guy and I cry all the time that, we still don't know how he died, but we know they have violated his body. It's painful. It's so painful. And with what could have happened to me, it's painful. Like, what were they thinking? What was inside their hearts? What was inside their souls? I mean, this kind of darkness, I never knew or imagined that is humanly possible. Like, and why me?
And obviously you want justice because you've opened up a case.
Of course, I want justice, not only for me, and for other people who have been scammed by them and are afraid to come out, especially.
Are there people who have been scammed and are afraid to come out?
Of course there are. Okay. Doctors as well. I'm not the only doctor, but people cannot come out because of what has happened to me, because I received that digital mob justice. Nobody wants that for themselves. They rather stay in their corner and just recover and cry in their corner.
You might think that high achievers like Dr. Pashy are immune to scams. After all, Dr. Pashy is smart, successful, and confident. She has worked hard academically and is a world-recognized award-winning anesthesiologist, and she should know how to handle her finances. She couldn't possibly be naive or gullible, but the truth is, high achievers like Dr. Pashy can also fall victim to scams. In fact, they might be more vulnerable than average people. Why, you ask? Because scammers know how to exploit their psychology and emotions. Scammers use various techniques to manipulate high achievers into trusting them and handing over their money. Some of these techniques would have used by Nandipha and Bester are flattery. Scammers praise high achievers for their accomplishments and make them feel special and admired. They appeal to their ego and vanity and make them believe that they deserve more rewards and opportunities. Authority. Scammers pretend to be experts, professionals, or celebrities who have access to exclusive information or deals. They use jargon, credentials, or testimonials to convince high achievers that they know what they are talking about and that they can help them achieve more success. Scarcity. Scammers create a sense of urgency and fear of missing out by claiming that their offer is limited, rare, or expiring soon. They pressure high achievers to act fast and not miss the chance to get ahead of others. Reciprocity. Scammers offer high achievers something for free or at a discount, such as a gift, a trial, or a favor. They make them feel indebted and obliged to return the favor by buying something or giving something in return. Social proof. Scammers show high achievers that other people like them have already benefited from their offer or service. They use testimonials, reviews, ratings, or endorsements to create a bandwagon effect and make them feel like they are joining a successful group. How can high achievers protect themselves from scams? Here are some tips. Be skeptical. Don't take everything at face value. Do your own research and verify the source, the credentials, and the claims of anyone who contacts you unsolicited or offers you something too good to be true. Be cautious. Don't give out your personal or financial information to anyone you don't know or trust. Don't click on links or attachments in emails or messages from strangers. Don't pay upfront fees or deposits for anything you haven't received or confirmed with a lawyer when large sums of money are involved. Be assertive. Don't let anyone pressure you into making a decision or a purchase you are not comfortable with. Don't be afraid to say no or walk away from a deal that sounds fishy or risky. Be aware. Know your strengths and weaknesses as a high achiever. Recognize when someone is trying to manipulate your emotions or psychology. Seek advice from trusted friends, family, or professionals before making any big decisions or investments. Remember, being a high achiever does not make you immune to scams. It might make you a target for scammers who want to take advantage of your ambition and confidence. But by being vigilant and smart, you can avoid falling for their tricks and protect your hard-earned money and reputation. Dr. Pashy needs to remember that the Minister of Home Affairs' loyalty lies with the people of South Africa and not just with her. The expectation of him concealing her name when it was discovered that she had indeed willingly handed over her 2 passports to the notorious duo for reasons yet to be ventilated in a court of law is unrealistic. He apologized for the error of stating that there was 2 affidavits filed with Home Affairs, when in actual fact there was only 1, and for that, he apologized to her in a press conference. The rest of the statement was true. The pain and suffering she and her immediate family have suffered has been both unfortunate and self-inflicted due to the staggeringly high level of naivety, and this has made Dr. Pashy a sitting duck that kept laying the golden eggs, if the 2 famous phrases could be combined. It has been an incredibly expensive lesson for all involved, and the focus for her should now be on healing and to never let this ugliness repeat itself in her lifetime. As Dr. Pashy rebuilds her brand with the help of a therapist, she must identify the pitfalls she faced when dealing with her ex-friend, Dr. Nandipha. She needs to hire a seasoned business manager and have an attorney on retainer to assist with vetting any and all future business ventures to insulate herself from landing herself in similar turbulent waters in the future. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Number 1, how possible is that a well-traveled and educated person like Dr. Pashy didn't know that she would require to sit exams to facilitate registration as a doctor before she can even arrange a work visa for the United States of America, rendering it utterly impossible for the notorious duo to facilitate it on her behalf, given she was too busy, as she put it. There is no way to work anywhere in the world without meeting their respective conditions to be admitted to the role, and for this, no proxies can be nominated. Number 2. How possible is it that Dr. Pashy thinks that a non-expired visa in an expired passport remains valid? Number 3. It is not clear the reasons she was given to have not had her function at the Staples Center with a previous deadline missed of April 2022 with no other lockdown declared since. For another 12 months, Dr. Pashy was dragged along with no red flags apparent to her till the 16th of March 2023 when Ground Up published their article. Number 4. While everyone including Miss Rwanda 2016 and the blind man down the street could deduce that TK Nkwana was a crook, Dr. Pashy chose to pray the massive delays away with his accomplice, instead of seeking a second opinion as she continued to hemorrhage money every day, while her Muppeteers continued to live a luxurious life right under her nose. Team at Crime Unfiltered wish Dr. Pashy, her family and all the other anonymous plaintiffs peace, improved clarity of mind, healing and the best of luck in this uphill battle of being made financially whole as they argue their cases in court. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Please like, comment, subscribe and share so we can keep the informed community growing. Until the next episode, see you soon.